He hadn't heard her voice in almost 10 years. Not 10 years since he'd last seen her, but 10 years since her voice had graced his ears. At least that's how it felt to him. She was sunshine and he was instantly drawn to her warmth. She was laughter and he was captivated by her joy. They'd been inseparable for 3 years, sharing dreams, hopes and fears under the moonlight. He could feel her body pressed against his, her head resting on his chest, her fingers intertwined with his. He could smell her perfume, a delicate floral scent that made his head spin. He pulled it out and saw that he had a new message. It was from an unknown number. His heart skipped a beat. Was it her? His hands trembled as he typed out a reply. "How did you get my number?" Was she finally reaching out to him after all this time? He stared at the screen, his fingers hovering over the message, afraid to break the illusion. But then she'd left, taking a piece of his heart with her. He had never forgotten her. Even all this time later, the memory of her was still so vivid in his mind that it hurt. "I've missed you, all these years. Sometimes I wonder what could have been if things had turned out differently." And as the sun began to set, he knew he had to tell her. He had to let her know how much she meant to him, how much he'd missed her, how much he'd loved her. He could hear the tears in her voice when she finally spoke. "I love you too, Daniel. I never stopped loving you." He'd wondered for years if she ever thought of him, if she ever missed him. "You're the only one who knew how to make me laugh. You're the only one I truly loved." And here she was telling him that she thought of him every day. If we'd stayed together, where would we be now? "Do you ever think about me?" It was the happiest he'd been in years. As he read her message, a smile slowly spread across his face. Maybe some things were just meant to be. Maybe he was meant to find her again. Maybe it was fate that led him to that wedding, that made him download that song. Maybe it was destiny that was bringing them back together. It was love at first sight when he met her in college. All these years later, he was still searching for her, searching for her voice, her laugh, even the scent of her hair. "I never stopped loving you. I'm listening to our song now. It brings back so many memories. It makes me feel like we were meant to be." The car had stopped and he was in his driveway. "I think about you every day. Wonder what you're doing. Hope that you're happy." He hadn't noticed the streets changing, hadn't seen the cars passing by. He was so far gone that if she'd been standing in front of him, he wouldn't have seen her. The lead singer's voice was rich and deep like velvet, just like hers. His fingers tightened around the steering wheel as he remembered slow dancing with her at her cousin's wedding. They'd been too shy to ask each other out, too afraid to admit their feelings. But at that moment, under the twinkling lights on the dance floor, they'd both given in. And in the privacy of the dim light, they'd confessed their love for each other, sealing it with a kiss. And now here he was, sitting in his car, listening to their song. It was a song they used to dance to, a song that played on the jukebox at their favorite diner, a song that took him back to a time when life was simpler, when the only worry he had was whether he'd be able to make her laugh. He closed his eyes, letting the melody wash over him. The song ended and another one started playing, but he didn't hear it. He was still lost in the memory, reliving that night. He opened his eyes and took a deep breath, trying to bring himself back to the present. As he stepped out of the car, his phone vibrated in his pocket. "Do you remember me?" The message read, "We danced to this song at your sister's wedding." It was her. It actually was her. "I couldn't help but search for you." His heart pounded in his chest. This was insane. This was a dream come true. "Of course I think of you," he replied, his fingers flying across the keyboard. "I love you too," she wrote back. He could feel a tear rolling down his cheek. They've talked for hours, catching up on lost time, sharing stories of their lives, their dreams, their loves, their losses. "I never stopped loving you," he whispered into the phone, his voice thick with emotion. There was a long silence on the other end of the line.